Hi everyone, hope you all had a great Christmas and New Year. Welcome to this video for the 41st weekend since the initial lockdown in the UK. Here we are, 41 weeks later or whatever it is, and we're still in the middle of it. Let's hope that the various vaccines that have got approval do the business, and that we can get on with our lives. And thank goodness for radio saving the day, for me at least anyway. Radio and growing plants, indoor plants, is what has really helped me for some reason. I'm not quite sure why, but I know why radio has, but cultivating some plants and watching them grow, I think that's quite good for your mental health. Radio wise, this weekend, so behind me is an image of my 45 watt amplifier that I bought from China via eBay for use with the Yaesu FT817, and this week I got it working. And it works very well. And so I now have a fully operational portable station. The Yaesu and the amplifier running on separate lead acid batteries, 7.2, well, one 7.2 amp hour and one 7. They're basically identical, about so big. And on my little miniature MFJ matching unit. And I tested it on the sked last night, and there is a bit of a problem. And the problem is that the amplifier will only go up as far as 80 meters. It doesn't operate on 160. And the problem with that is that the Yaesu only puts out 2.5 watts when it's running on battery power. And I want this arrangement to be fully portable. So, and the power supply I have for the Yaesu generates so much noise anyway, it's almost unusable. So on top band, last night I was putting out 2.5 watts, and the only people that could hear me were those local to Abingdon, or hear me well. Everyone else was really struggling. Not understand, you know. I thought I would get away with it because I've been operating a portable station in Abingdon using about 15 watts, sometimes 20, and everyone could hear me really, really well. And I thought, well, you know, if I drop the power down to 2.5, I might get away with it, but I basically didn't. On 80 meters, that 2.5 watts input results in about 27 watts output, and the situation at 80 meters was a bit better. Some stations could actually hear me surprisingly well, but conditions last night were poor and the band was very crowded, so there was a lot of adjacent channel noise, a lot of QRM. But as far as 80 meters is concerned, I think it would work. But the Friday night sked always starts on top band, and I'm just not going to be heard. So I'm going to have to not ditch the portable station, because I built a portable station to use, and so I've done that, and it's great. But I'm going to need another. I'm going to need another option. It's the scientists coming out of me. I love to experiment. Some of these guys have got amazing stations. Roger, G0AOZ, Dave, G8DVK, Tim, M0KP, Jeff, M0UHF, amongst others. They've got really nice stations. They run, 100 watts or more, 100, 150 watts, sometimes more power, and they can copy each other very well, nearly all the time. And that's great. But the experimentalist in me prefers almost to run power that's a bit more on the edge. So I get more out of being copied okay with low power than being copied, S9 plus, running 50 watts as a 2E0 or 100 watts plus now as an M0. And so it's a bit of a shame really that I can't make this portable arrangement work, but it's simply not. There's no point doing the sked if you know that 75% of the people on a particular band won't be able to copy you. That's just pointless. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the FT990. This is the Yaesu radio that we got from a sign and key sale, and you've seen it before actually. I've done a couple of videos on it. Well, some of you will. Here it is. Anyway, you get the idea. Quite a strong Russian station. I think there's a contest going on HF this weekend, right now actually. So I'm going to transition from a portable station to an alternative address station. So from /P to /A. The reason I'm going to test that 990 is because I had a problem with that radio that I had with this setup, and that was RF leaking into the audio. The audio on that setup was horrendous until I managed to borrow from Tim this, which is the biggest ferrite core I've ever seen, and basically wrap the accessory cable from the radio to the amplifier and the coax patch lead from the radio to the amplifier a couple of turns through this, and that resolved it to within a couple of percent of 100%. And I had a similar problem when I tested the Yaesu FT990. I was getting reports of RF leaking into the audio. So what I've actually done is I've got 3 of these now. They're only about 16 quid each. Tim was kind enough to order them, and I'm going to test the FT990 with this, work a few stations here, and if it's all good, then I will I'll set up a second station based around that radio. So we'll see what happens, but yeah, it's a shame, as I said, that the portable setup isn't really going to fly, but you know, there's no point working a net if you know that you're not going to be heard by nearly everybody. I was going to use the FT991 again, which I have used in that portable kind of setup, but I use that for FT8. It's my go-to radio for FT8. It's basically set up for that. I do use it on SSB as well. I'm running FT8 now actually on 20 meters, and not getting very far with it at all. But so that isn't really going to work. I mean, that needs to stay here in my main station. There's the ICOM 7300, which is obviously my main radio in here. And I've got an ICOM IC756, which is a very large radio, which certainly isn't suitable for carrying around. I don't know how robust it is. It's in perfect, pristine working order, touch wood. And I want it to remain that way because I love that radio. So the other option was to buy one of these sort of cheap Chinese transceivers, 20 watts, but I don't really want to do that. But maybe in the future. It's just a shame really that I can't get more power on top band. But anyway, for now, the experiment continues, I suppose. So I'll replace the portable setup with the FT990 and go with that, and then chop and change between here and Abingdon, and that'll be fine. So also this weekend I'll be reading this. I won't be reading it, all of it, but I'll be reading some of the articles. You saw my video on this book. You know, this is, like I said, for fear of repeating myself, this is the reference manual for DXing the Bible, so to speak. I've never known the information in this book to ever be incorrect. And the reason for that is because it uses local knowledge. There's a kind of global network of contributors who basically contribute to the accuracy of this book, and there's a list of them there. And if you've watched my other video, you'll know that I know some of them personally. And even though websites such as short-wave.info and shortwaveschedules.com, etc., and various other websites are excellent, if you are listening to a signal on HF or medium wave and you can't, you don't recognise it, you can't identify it, if you use online resources, at some point you're going to find that the results they're giving you are anomalous. I found it many times. Whereas this, and that's because they use databases that aren't necessarily completely accurate and up to date. This is the one reference that uses, as I say, local knowledge, and you should buy this book because this is really the only thing that's left in print that supports the hobby, apart from Radio User Magazine and obviously Practical Wireless if you're into ham radio. But there's a couple of really interesting articles in here. The Scandinavian Weekend article and the development of HF broadcast transmitters. But also some of the reviews in here, because I won't repeat the video, but there's quite a lot of hardware in here that I have sort of personal experience with, so that's good. And that's really about it for this weekend. As I said, it's a new year. I hope that we can get over the whole COVID thing, which is obviously doing everybody's head in. It would be great to actually be able to have some physical club meetings. Harwell Amateur Radio Society does a fantastic job. We're still doing the Zoom meetings, etc., and sort of 3 times a week they're going on, and the HF skeds twice a week. So there's still a lot of activity within the club, and you know, they should be applauded for that. And in our experience, the interest in ham radio has done nothing really but grow since the start of the pandemic. And I don't know whether the situation's the same for DXing, shortwave listening, etc. Possibly it is. Maybe I guess people generally have just got a lot more time on their hands these days. So, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if it was the same situation for shortwave listening. And I'm certainly getting a lot of comments on the videos on the channel. So, you know, from that point of view, it's all good. But you know, keep listening. I'm still waiting for the Eaton E1, the new version of that. So let's see what happens. And that's about it. So I wish you all a great weekend. Let's have a fantastic 2021. Let's hope that the COVID issues all come to a good conclusion, and I'll speak to some of you no doubt on the channel. In the meantime, I wish you all great DX and 73. Thanks for watching.